My name is Tom Jallo. I'm with Softing, Director of Business Development. I've been with Softing for almost 10 years now. Who is Softing? There's a couple other industrial-based businesses that Softing is involved with, industrial communications, data exchange on the industrial side. Why is that relevant? We do things besides test tools. We're familiar with the need for a properly working network. We're familiar with time associated with problems with improperly designed networks, with networks that have been down over time, with networks that have been improperly specified. All of those scenarios, we're familiar with that because we have to live it on this other side of our business. The topic of today's conversation is going to be network troubleshooting with the LinkXpert. Okay, and this is a small little device. It's relatively inexpensive. Let's take a look at the full Softing portfolio. And I think this is relevant because the right tool for the right job. Everybody's heard that kind of axiom out there. Softing makes lots of different tools. This is our current product lineup in our IT network space. We have everything from full-blown copper and fiber cable certifiers. These are the types of testers that spit out reports that get you a warranty in with, like, CommScope or Hubble or Prismian, all those big cable manufacturers. They're looking for those types of reports to give you a 25-year warranty. Okay. We also have a number of innovative tools that kind of do things that are big advantages for the customer using these tools and solve some issues, whether that's issues because devices are overpriced or overcomplicated, things like that. And that's relevant in this discussion as well. So one of those would be the FiberXpert 700. That is a certifier that is basically a light source power meter. So it's an inexpensive way to go out there and certify fiber. Let's look at this bottom row, and this is where the LinkXpert comes in. We have a full line of cable verification tools. So verification is kind of the simplest way of testing cables. We have simple wire mappers in the CableMaster 210, also simple PoE testers, the CableMaster PoE. That's a brand new product out from us. And we have the LinkXpert TP and the M3. That's the purpose of today's conversation. What makes the LinkXpert so novel? A great troubleshooter doesn't necessarily do everything. In other words, let's just make it real simple. Is a troubleshooting tool going to be a certification tool where it's generating testing 12 different parameters and generating a report for you and stuff like that? My argument would be no. Okay. It's absolutely true that certification tools do allow you to troubleshoot. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that the ideal troubleshooting tool will give you the answer to what the problem is in the quickest way possible. And the LinkXpert is designed for that. It's designed for quick identification of an issue. Let's look at the build of this of the LinkXpert. Here we go, the LinkXpert M3. Okay, we call it the M3 because it's 3 media. That would be copper, fiber, and Wi-Fi. Okay, so it's a very small device. Okay, but the size of the tool is really about the same as a smartphone. In other words, it can fit in your pocket. A built-in battery has extremely long battery life. It has a nice big touch screen. On the top of the tester are your test ports. So on the device, you have an RJ45 port for copper testing that does up to 10 gig port recognition on this device. There's also an SFP port for fiber optic. So SFP is a transceiver, right? So you drop in a transceiver, either a multi-mode or single mode SFP into the tester, and that allows you to test fiber optically. It allows you to communicate over a fiber optic link to a network, do a number of tasks in fiber optics with that SFP port. There's also a built-in red laser, or a visual fault locator, as it's called in the industry. In other words, this is a red laser. It's a visible light as opposed to the light in SFPs, which is on the non-visible spectrum, but allows you to troubleshoot a fiber because you can see that red laser or red light being pushed down the fiber and identify where you've got breaks, opens, or shorts, or even just the polarity of a fiber will show that as well. Also, there's just a built-in flashlight. You can see that listed above the VFL of the tester. There's a USB port on the side where you can just plug in a Wi-Fi dongle, and then the device works for Wi-Fi troubleshooting and network testing as well. So that's the form factor of the LinkXpert M3. So I've got a workbench here, LinkXpert device on hand. So this is the LinkXpert M3. So here is the tool next to my phone. It really is roughly the same size. It's definitely thicker, but this tool will fit in your pocket. I'm going to go ahead and show you the top of the test tool. So here is the visual fault locator right here. To the left of that is the RJ45 port. We'll do a copper test on this device. We'll look at some troubleshooting on copper. SFP port to the right, that's where that transceiver goes in there. There's the flashlight right there. I can turn that on just by pushing the button there at the top of the device. We'll turn the VFL on in a moment. And then you got this nice big touch screen, okay? I've got a protective sleeve on mine as well, so I can drop this thing and not worry about it. But yeah, that is the LinkXpert M3. Remember, I think core points of a troubleshooting device, you got to have it on hand. If you don't have it with you, you're not going to be able to do much with it. Okay, let's just do a simple cable test real quick. So I'm going to grab this little patch cord. Let's test it and see how that works. So I'm going to plug into the top of the device, and I'm going to plug into the remote. So the kit comes with a remote here, relatively small remote, plug in. Let's go into the copper tool set here. Let's choose wire map, and let's run a wire map real quick. There we go. We've got a test result in about a second's worth of time there, total test time. So it's super fast. If you can see there, I can see the length of each of the 4 pairs, 0.6 feet. I get a color indication of that 568 wire map. I even get the number of the remote. You see that says number 1 over here. And look at the far side. I get indication on the far side of each of these pairs being made. If I had an open on 4.5, this LED wouldn't be lit up, and of course this screen would be different as well. Let's test a big cable. So I'm going to drop this much longer cable in place here. Let's connect to another remote. Let's use number 2 here. I'm going to connect there. So we've got a much longer cable here, may or may not have problems. Let's find out. So I'm going to drop number 2 on the other end of this cable. And let's test. Again, about 1 second test time there. Take a look at that result. I can see that I've got roughly 84 feet of cable here. So I get the length of not only the entire cable, but the length of each individual pair. It's telling me that my 1-2 pair is reversed. It's showing that clearly on the tester. It's telling me that 3-6 is okay, 4-5 is okay. I'm getting the length of those individual pairs. And then look at pair 7-8. It is open, and it's showing that in the display. What's interesting about that is it's telling me that it's open and it is 21.5 feet long, as opposed to the other pairs, which are 80-something feet long. Why is that? Well, if you look into this cable bundle here, right here in the middle, right there, I do have that open. And if you were to take out the old tape measure and look at this, that would be about 21 feet into that spool. Just with simple copper cable testing, the amount of information you get on this test tool is fantastic, right? It even has the ability to document these test results into a project folder where you can generate a report. So fantastic copper cable troubleshooter here. In other words, it's giving you enough information here to go solve issues. Is it this jack? No, this jack is okay. Is it this jack, or I'm sorry, plug, I should say. Is it this plug? No, this is okay. It's in the middle of the cable. It's telling me exactly where the problem is. And you can see that. You also have, if I jump back out and look at, this is just the tool set that's within copper. There are 3 separate tool areas within the LinkXpert. There's one for copper testing, one for Wi-Fi testing, and one for fiber optic testing. This is just the copper testing area. So this tool is a tone generator, and it works with a tone wand. So a tone wand would give you the ability to actually track down the cable, and you would be able to find where this open is. I could generate a tone on that 7/8, I believe it was a 7/8 pair that's open, generate a tone, and I could track down to see exactly where it's open at. I could also generate a tone on all pairs. So if I've got trying to figure out which cable is mine, and there's a lot of cables out there, say in a tray, I could generate tone on all pairs. There's a lot more here, and I cannot go through all these functions and stick to the agenda or the time here, because there's quite a bit to it. So let's just do fiber troubleshooting capability here in the same way that we showed the copper. Let's take a look at the VFL. We talked about that red laser built into the tester earlier. So I'm just going to go into the tool sets. I'm going to choose the fiber optic menu, and you can see the very first option there is VFL. Let's click on it. I'm going to twist this up so you guys can see what's coming out at the end of the tester. I'm going to turn that on. There it is, that red laser. And through the miracle of television, so to speak, that's not going to bother your eyes, okay? But you can definitely see what's going on there. Now I can connect to a fiber. Let's do that. Let's just grab this little adapter and connect to this orange fiber that's sitting over here looking innocent off screen. And let's see if we can find a problem with this fiber. I'm going to connect to it. And sure enough, I can see that there is a problem in this fiber. Somebody has bent this fiber a little bit too much and has cracked the actual fiber. You can see that red VFL showing up clearly coming out of the jacket right there. Now I can do this over literally kilometers of fiber. Okay, so you can troubleshoot fiber optic links that easy. On top of that, it's verifying which of the 2 fibers. So I've got an A fiber here in this pair and a B fiber, and I can see which of them is the A and which is the B. Now this break that I have here is not complete because I still have a little bit of light leaking out of this. So it is a partial break, right? Super simple, very valuable. Let's go back out to the next function. It's the TXRX function. Let's click on that. You can see it pops up a screen. Let's grab one of those transceivers. So here is a simple transceiver. Let's plug it into the tester and let's see what pops up. So I'm going to, you'll see that screen immediately pop up. I can see the metadata off the SFPs. I can see the power out of the SFP and the power in on the SFP. Can you test SFPs with the LinkXpert M3? Yes. Let's do a quick test on this fiber. So let's just grab another fiber. You notice that we've got 6.9. If I go down about mid-screen just below, I've got 6.9, 7 dBs of power out, and then minus 40 coming back in. Okay, so it's telling me how much is coming out and coming in. I can just simply click into the port of this SFP and watch how quickly this populates. So I've got -7 coming out, and immediately I get a value coming back in, and it's subtracting power out minus power in. That's what that very bottom line is. Right now I'm seeing 0.75 dBs of loss on this little fiber here. You notice as soon as I do that, again, watch how quickly it populates. I'm going to get a light here indicating that the link is up, and then immediately I'm also going to see this number update. Instant. That is troubleshooting right there. If I want to troubleshoot a fiber optic link, I absolutely want the ability to do OTDR traces at some point. I want the ability to do certification to a very exact loss value to measure attenuation. All of those things are relevant. They're good. They have their place. But if I'm troubleshooting, I want a tool that tells me immediately what's happening on a fiber optic link, and this does that. There is zero delay. I don't have to do a set reference. I don't have to configure the device. I don't have to choose multi-mode versus single mode. I don't have to go in and set a loss budget. I don't have to do any of those things. I'm immediately getting a value. Right now, I'm testing this very short little OM3 fiber, right? But that doesn't stop me. I can go test literally miles of fiber in the exact same way. I walk up to an MDF, connect that pair to this tester, and on the opposite end at the other bulkhead, I can just have the same type of loop back. I'm going out one fiber, going through a very long length if I have to, and then coming back on the other. And again, it's instantly telling me how much loss I had there. Is this the most exact measurement of fiber? No, I'm not saying that. There are definitely more accurate ways to test fiber. However, this is pretty good and it's instant, and that is troubleshooting. You can use this in multiple scenarios. If you have another LinkXpert, you can be at the opposite side and you can do a dual-ended test. It would give you values for power and receive at both ends. So again, that's the TX-RX function on LinkXpert. Very, very handy when it comes to fiber optic troubleshooting. So I just one more, I'm gonna keep hammering this. My loss on this, I think, was 0.7. So this fiber had 0.7 dBs of loss. I wonder how much this bad fiber that was partially broken had. So let's just connect to it. I'm gonna connect on this side and I'm gonna bring in the other side. There we go. 15 dBs of loss on that single fiber because it's broken. Again, hammering home that point. That is a great fiber optic troubleshooter. So that is the RX function. We still have DHCP, so I can pull DHCP over fiber. There's a number of active testing capabilities of the LinkXpert M3. So if you're not just chasing after a broken copper cable or a broken fiber, you can do lots of other things with this tool. You can go out and pull information off active equipment, switches, other devices, hosts on the network. You can connect to those. You can ping to those devices. You can pull IPs off of those devices. You can pull switch port information, trace route, all that kind of information, all off of the LinkXpert M3. You can even get a list of the devices on the network. It has the ability to go out and pull various devices on the network. I'm not connected right now, but you can see that I can show MAC address, IP address, even DNS information off of a test tool. So let's back out. Let's show the Wi-Fi testing capability of this device. I'm going to drop in a Wi-Fi dongle off to the side here, and I'm going to go into the Wi-Fi testing screen, and I'm going to click on the Wi-Fi scan option. And you can see it's already started to populate various access points that it sees on our network. So this is a totally passive test. We're not connected to any of the Wi-Fi networks yet, but I can see the information that would be the SSID, the unique identifier, which would be the BSSID. I can see the band that it's broadcasting on. I can see the channel that it's broadcasting on. I can see signal strength. I can even see security. And if I scroll down, we've got a big office here and there's a lot of stuff going on. You can see all of these various radios. I can even sort by the individual networks. I can sort by the individual radio IDs. So very helpful to be able to do that. And I can, again, generate a report with this information to be able to share with whoever needs to see it. Let's back out. Let's talk about PoE testing with the LinkXpert. So I'm going to grab a PoE switch. So the LinkXpert does some really significant PoE testing. A lot of PoE testing on the market is just kind of showing you what's being advertised by the switch. It's not actually pulling that information. And that is a problem because when you do that, essentially you could get some kind of false information. I'm going to bring in this simple PoE switch right here. I'm going to plug that in and let's connect to it. I'm going to grab a cord. Let's connect to the port. Connect to the tester. So let's go into the tool section and let's go into the copper tool set and let's choose PoE. And let's start the PoE test. So what do we do that's so special with PoE testing on LinkXpert that others don't do? Well, we actually pull a load over the cable and from the power sourcing equipment. We act just like a PD powered device. Okay. So let's go ahead and start the test. So why is that relevant? Well, let's say you have a scenario where you have 10 cameras connected to a PoE switch, and you need to install an 11th camera. Perhaps that switch doesn't have enough current or enough power to drive that device. Well, in that situation, having a tester that actually pulls a load over the cable is what you want here. Let's take a look at the readout here. So I can see the PoE type. It's a type 2, 802.3 AT PoE plus. I can see the pinout 1236. 12 is negative and 36 is positive. Pretty common PoE. Look below that. I can see power class and I can see the actual wattage at the tester. 25.5 watts at the tester. That makes this a 30 watt PoE port. And then I can even see the voltage when you're at minimum load and the voltage at maximum load. So that's the deviation in voltage when the load changes. Okay. And that is a superior test. Whether it's your switch that's having problems delivering PoE or the cable connecting you to the switch, perhaps is too long, perhaps it's been damaged, things like that. When you do a test with LinkXpert for PoE, you'll be able to figure out if you're truly getting the PoE needed to operate that camera or that wireless access point. That's a superior PoE test. This is full auto mode. You can also go into the settings here and go into a manual option, and you can choose all the different varieties of PoE to test. In other words, instead of giving you one result, it will kind of go down and you can choose all 8 classes if you wanted to, and it could test for this type of PoE, tell you what the results are, then to the next type of PoE, tell you what the results are. So that if you have devices, you want to know all the different types of PoE that's available from a switch port, you can do that as well. Again, that's a great test when it comes to PoE. That is LinkXpert M3 PoE testing. Again, on the testing side, again, we can pull switch port information, DHCP. We can check for duplicate IPs, kind of like a network troubleshooter as well. If you could say that, it gives you that capability, allows you to ping devices, switch port information. Again, that would be, VLAN information, all kinds of helpful information in that aspect. And again, the size of this tool and the price point of this tool allow you to allow a technician to really go out there and get information that they typically would not have capability to do with other test tools. Again, troubleshooting is about finding the most information in the quickest way possible. And that is how the LinkXpert is built from the ground up. And that's what it accomplishes, right? So that's our take on troubleshooting. And we think that it benefits just about every technician being in their hands.